Hi, I'm Chris from Airwindows, and as usual, things may be very strange in the country in which I live, but some things never change, and one of those things is I have a piece of paper with words on it. No, I have a plugin, but this is also a separate thing. Before I get into the plugin, I will simply tell you that just before posting the plugin, I posted what I'm calling Airwindows cheap-ass rhymes. That's something I've been asked about. It's been a project for a long time. It's effectively the XKCD Upgoer 5 list of words organized into a kind of rhyming dictionary, but it's not really a good rhyming dictionary. Instead, it's a cheap-ass rhyming dictionary. It's organized for songwriters, so the beginning is like high vowel sounds like E. And I've got a category for sustain. So sustained E's could be agree or any, be, beat. I'm not sure that actually counts. There could be some updates to it. There is an A, Fonzie A, or hey, or late, or remain, today, may, name. You can do a I sound. You can do an ia sound like fear here. There is the eeah, the yeah sound for sustained sounds like literally the word yeah, or stare, where, so on and so forth. So I've been putting this together for some time. It goes all the way to grunty sounds like and like paper, interrupt, stomach, animal. Those things can work for like death metal vocals. And it's posted on my website. I'll link to it. It may be a useful tool for me to do new musical pieces. However, we don't have one of those today because instead I threw away the track that I was working on, or the track that I had recorded, and we're back to a much older one. Where actually I can... Except for that I've updated it, so now it uses Console 7 and the full power of the gain sliders and things, including Console 7 Cascade on the drums. And I'm running the drums through a Pressure 4 submix. But that's not what I'm posting about. The new plugin is called Reverb, and it's fairly easy to demonstrate. I use this. I kind of want to leave it so that you can hear a little bit of that mix though, because that's now the old jam, but through Console 7 and better drums with the same recordings. So this is the kind of stuff you can do with Console 7. Sounds kind of heavier. But the point is that I have this new Reverb plugin. Now, Reverb does nothing that you can't do with the previous one, MatrixVerb. It's based on the same techniques. It's based on the same code. But what it does is simplifies everything down to tightly controlled behaviors. It's a dual mono reverb, but the center spreads if you have something like completely mono. Reverb in the sides will continue to be fully in the sides, so that'll give you some extra stereo wideness. And the big control here goes from tiny shoebox size or closet size to impossibly huge. How huge, you may ask? I'll show you. So that's pretty huge. And the deal with this is it's the same thing as MatrixVerb. It is using the same delicate high-frequency fall-off that models the sound of a giant underground cavern effectively. I calibrated it to that. So your enormously giant huge sounds can do that for you. Do I have a pause? Kind of. And it is a very long decay that way. But if we use a smaller sound, you can get kind of a hall type noise, and the fall off is always going to have the high frequencies falling off consistent with the sound of air in large quantities of space. So if it's huge, it'll still kind of die away. It won't stay bright like an artificial reverb will. Small sounds get a lot more constrained. That's a very small room. And you basically just dial in your size. Let me pull the volume back a little bit. So this is the no fuss reverb. It does all the things that you might do with a reverb for the purpose of doing this kind of stuff, but it's set up so that all of its sounds are as accurate as I could make them for the types of noises. Here's your tiny little shoebox type size. It doesn't have a lot of clang to it. So you can have this little small room tone. Or we can go kind of larger. And this gives you a fairly consistent, we could probably even boost the levels a little. Smaller room, much larger. Or larger still. And then we can go just ridiculous if we want. They'll build up enormously. This is your sort of infinite reverb setting, although not literally. I've got one coming like that. Kind of stadium size. Here we have more of a sort of room tone. And as you can hear, it blends pretty well. Like, it doesn't even really sound like anything's going on until you bypass it. Have your room. So there you have it. Reverb is MatrixVerb without the fuss. All the little details tied into it are kind of preset. They're set up to give the optimum for whatever reverb size that is. If I was to be doing stuff like, for instance, let's say if I was getting back into doing this, but I wanted to do a aux, and I wanted to get the drums to be reverb only on the drum aux here. what I could do is set it up kind of like this. Here, let's bring it back up for a second. I might want to boost it a little bit. And with that, I have a heavily roomed out drum string. Or I can make it be that much larger. Here, the way that Console 7 works is I can balance the pressure and weight of the drums fairly well because it's coming forward slightly as I turn the drums up. Or falling back and getting bigger space if I pull it back. So I've got a wider sweet spot there. And again, that's me putting some reverb just on the drum bus. The idea with reverb here is it might be suitable for putting on just sets of buses if you're constructing everything with lots of different buses, like I'm doing here. I'm not sure how easily I can move the thing over. You can kind of see here that I have this bus 3, which is the drum bus, and I'm doing my thing of console 7 bus to come out of the summing, which is going into it. It's a console 7 cascade on all the drum tracks, and they're distorting somewhat themselves. Then I got pressure 4 in between the decode and re-encode, and I've got reverb also between the decode and re-encode, and that lets me set up a pretty much whatever room sound I want to blend in with those drums. And that would also work on stuff like if I was to make a guitar bus and put maybe a different reverb on those or something. It should all just fall together. And the purpose of having reverb the way that it is, with just those two controls, big and wet, is ease of use and approachability. And you can still put MatrixVerb on there and fiddle with all the little controls and just micromanage every bit of it. But this is what I've set up to zero in on what I think is exactly a good sort of spacious, vanish away into the background type reverb that'll work for stuff. On that note, I'm pretty pleased with it. It's not the last in the set of reverby things that I might come out with, but it might not be next week that I do the next one. We might take a little break from reverbs and do something else. Excuse me. There we go. So yeah, that is Airwindows Reverb. And another reason I called it that is because it's going into the Airwindows Starter Kit. This is my notion of a approachable beginner's reverb tool. You can basically just put in anything you want, and it'll do the right thing, and you can't really get lost with it. It will do what you mean to do with it. I think that's useful. If you absolutely love it so much that you would buy it separately after already having bought MatrixVerb, I suppose, then by all means throw another $50 towards my Patreon. It's getting closer and closer to that point of $2,000 where I start doing dramatic things with setting people up with hardware synthesizers, and I'm working busily towards that. I mean, I'm working busily towards many things. As you can see, I have a lyric writing thing going on. I have rearranged everything so that I can cut more tracks with more recent gear that are still reasonably structured. Because this thing that I was just playing you over again, even though I've remixed it, it's the most recent structured thing I've done in a long time. And hopefully I'll be able to get down to that too. But for the time being, blah, 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 Patreon, yeah. Cheap Ass Rhymes, if you want to go over to the Airwindows website and follow the other link to that, it's just text. So copy it, print it, do whatever you want with it. If you would like a sort of pop music lyric writing reference, the kind of thing where these are the low-hanging fruit of words. This is the most common 1,000 words in the English language according to the studies that XKCD used for their UpGoer 5 stuff, and it's organized into rhymes. It's organized into bad rhymes so that you don't have to fish or struggle too hard for finding something that's going to work. So it is your fault if you pick a terrible rhyme that this says is a rhyme. The idea is to give you ideas to work with. And yeah, have fun with it. And I will talk to you guys later. And I'll see you folks on Monday for my coding stream or whatever it is we choose to do there. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.